I wake up and I wonder what the hell I want to read today. A shooting or some looting, people rooting either side away. Maybe a murder that I heard of, they try to justify the dread. Makes me wanna turn around, drag myself right back in bed.
This content is for informational purposes only. You should not construe any such information or other material as legal, tax, investment, financial, or other advice. Nothing contained on here constitutes a solicitation, recommendation, endorsement, or offer by Draper Goren Holm or any third-party service provider to buy or sell any securities or other financial instruments whatsoever.
Hey everyone, it is me. We are here. Joseph is here too. Say hi, Joseph.
Hey, what's up?
Boom, boom, boom. We're recording.
Good morning, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
I am recording this on the computer now.
Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone. Hey, everyone.
Hey, everyone.
Boom. All right. It says it's recording. Boom, 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 boom. I am apparently recording.
The entire bottle of control. They're all exactly the same.
Crypto art, and then what it really is an NFT.
Wow. Eddie wants to slap the bag.
So this is the next best thing.
DeFi is going to be a bubble.
It's provably scarce.
With Mad Dog.
Crypto, gold, and silver.
Transparent substance.
Take my money, start a war with it.
Without further ado.
Cheers to you, brother.
Get shit done because the system has to collapse before that.
Corona.
Cheers, I feel much better now.
Cheers.
Wow, that was heavy.
Boom. Hey, welcome everybody. Blockchain Booze number 83. What's up, dude? What's
I got
happening?
my helper.
Hello. Thanks for joining us. Can you answer one question for me before we get started? What's your favorite NFT?
Which one you like?
I have a favorite.
He has a few NFTs.
Oh, but which one's your favorite?
I think the one that we did plants.
The plants one.
Ooh, that's pretty cool. Nice.
Here is some alpha. It's coming down sometime. We'll have to post them.
Nice. I can't wait. You bet. Maybe you can come on the show and tell us about it. Or shoot me a note. We can get you a collaboration with poopoo.eth.
Wow.
That's my
so
son.
excited. He's running around now.
Nice. Hey, so welcome everybody. Blockchain Booze number 83. I know a ton of you are back in the chat already. Thank you for joining us. Praveen gets a gold medal for being first in the chat. Teddy said, and a very merry boom to you too. So thank you for joining us, everyone backstage, and throw questions in the Q&A for this group. It's going to be a good one. If you aren't backstage, you're watching on Twitter or LinkedIn or YouTube, go to meet.blockchainbooze.io and you can hang out with us live and ask questions in the QA, hang out with the crew. And when we're done, you could turn on your camera and hang out with us too, back at these tables in about 55 minutes. But we've got a great crew. We're live streaming on Lunar Crush. We're reposting this after the fact on Blockchain Radio, so thank you to them as well. But let's jump in. Warm welcome to Michael Wu. This is your first time on Blockchain Booze. Thank you for joining us. And we've got Dr. Adel El-Naziri, somewhat definitely regular backstage, but also regular on stage as my wingman, and Freddie, who you guys should know because he's been on this and most of my other previous incantations of this as well, from H2 Crypto, and that might be a new company to you guys who are watching, and we'll learn a little bit about it. But first off, let's we want to talk about onboarding the masses, but before we get into that subject, I'm sorry, I'm like so distracted by the chat tonight. I'm just watching it and getting excited. But Michael, Amber Group. Tell us about it. Give us a little bit about your background. I'm really excited to hear about it. I know you guys are going to be participating next week at LA Blockchain Summit as well. So really happy to have you here.
Sure. Thank you, Alon. This is great. So Amber Group, for those of us who don't know about us yet, we are a global crypto finance platform. So we started 4 years ago by 6 of us out of banks, out of tech firms like Bloomberg, etc. So for the first 2 years of the firm, we were more or less a institutional focused crypto, I guess, boutique investment bank. So at the time, we facilitated trading, facilitated execution, structured products, for lending, etc. For the billion-dollar hedge funds or the family offices alike, right? But over the last 2 years, we've broadened our service scope to global consumers as well. We are actually able to bring the same grade of battle-proven crypto financial services to our global customers as well through our product suite. Now we have a mobile app, we have a web portal, we also still to have our 24/7 voice services desk. So now what Amber enables our customers to do is really pretty much everything under the sun as it relates to crypto financial services, you can find it with us. So whether that's as simple as you want to on-ramp or into crypto with fiat or off-ramp, to you have a really large trade that you need to do. You want to do it at a block price, or use some algorithmic strategies to execute that. Do you have cryptos and stablecoins you want to earn, say, up to 10% yield with us, or you have crypto as collateral to take out some loans. You need to invest in structured products, portfolio, payments with crypto, anything you name it.
Very cool.
It's accessible via Amber and the broader Amber platform.
Very cool. So yeah, when I was looking at your site, it looked like a big part of what you're trying to do is bring access to DeFi to sort of the masses or to a wider audience.
I'll call ourselves truly a gateway to crypto finance. I mean, we dedicated ourselves from day one to this mission, and now the firm has grown from the 6 of us to over 500 globally, and we're still dedicating to the same mission. So, I think we are pretty committed to that long term.
I love it. Yeah, I think we were just talking about it either before we went on, or was I talking about with somebody else? Like all these meetings blend together. But it's really exciting to see sort of the onboarding into the masses, right? I'm seeing every day either friends who are saying, hey, how can I get an NFT? Or people who, for years maybe would call me and ask me something that was like, not, I don't want to say it was like like an uneducated question or something that's condescending, but like they would ask me a question that was clearly like not super informed yet, but they were interested. But then, it was still too intimidating. Like they'd call me up and be like, should I buy some Bitcoin Cash? My friend told me it's faster than Bitcoin. Like, should I buy some? And you're like, wait, hold on. We need to talk about this a little bit more before we just go into doing something like that. And then, but today it's a much more informed decision. It's much more exciting. But I think that having groups that can hold your hand, that can walk you through it, are really, really important. And Freddie, I want you to introduce H2 Crypto, because I know a lot of people know you from Coin Squad and what you were doing there, but tell us about H2 Crypto a little bit.
Absolutely. Coin Squad led into this. H2 Crypto is a next generation cryptocurrency exchange. And the reason why we call it next gen is because we're going to be offering 24/7, 365 support through an AI/human hybrid model. So we're very excited about this, and onboarding is definitely one of my specialties personally. We're currently at a 2.75% of the global population that's invested in crypto right now, and less than 1% into NFTs. And what happens when we get to 5% and 10%? And all of these people that want to invest they don't have the technical skills to go about doing so. So we want to be the forefront of the industry of being able to contact someone at all times to get assistance.
I love it. Yeah, I mean that's one of the biggest problems in this space, right? Like everybody's amount of dollars, or amount of money, is the amount that is meaningful to them. It's a sliding scale, right? Like to me, it might mean $50 is meaningful, and somebody else might be $10, and somebody else might be $1,000. And I think that's one of the biggest problems with crypto in general. If you follow the comments on like a Coinbase post or a Binance post or a Kraken post, it's just full of pissed off customers who are like, I made a deposit and I can't reach a human being, right? And it's just so important for people, especially when they're onboarding, to have somebody they trust on the other line, somebody they can call. And when you were doing Coin Squad, that's why I loved what you were doing at Coin Squad, right? Like you were holding people's hands and onboarding them into crypto. That's not exactly scalable in the way you were doing it, but I know you're building technology to scale it even further. And it's exciting that it's going to be tied to an exchange now. So really,
absolutely, that was all things before, and now we're just kind of centralized into one solid entity, and we've made it really easy to use. And it's kind of interesting that you brought up the $50 or the $10 and things like that, because our mobile application is going to have and our web application is going to have the ability where you can go in and just one click, $50, $100, $500, $1,000, or you can customize it and do whatever you want. But we purposely made it easy to go in, and if you're comfortable investing, we're not going to tell you what to invest in, obviously, but we try to make it as easy as possible and painless.
Yeah, I love it. And then last but not least, I want Adele to give us a little bit of background on what you're doing. I know what you're doing is onboarding the masses in a totally different way. Michael and Freddie are both talking about it from an onboarding investments perspective, or getting into crypto, getting into NFTs eventually and stuff like that. But you're sort of serving the unbanked and doing some things like that. Tell us about DLN and AlphaFin and everything.
So I'm an OG in the field. In spite of me, I was kind of like doing research on machine language and AI and so forth, and unknown field called trust networks, when it became blockchain, because it's an extension of that field there. So all of a sudden I'm like in the field, seeing and observing, and it's like a dream come true, looking at all of the stuff. And one common theme that we had throughout the years is talking about, we want to bank the unbanked, we want to address the masses. But the first wave of ICOs and so forth came and gone, and we haven't done anything. So especially during the lockdown, and kind of like looking at DeFi, where we focus on how can we emphasize on the returns, like how can we optimize that? I was thinking, how can we optimize the impact? How can we turn the whole unbanked people actually to be banked? And you'll be surprised that there are today 2 billion plus people that are unbanked. They don't have a bank. And if you don't have a bank, you cannot transact. And more important, you can't get a loan. And if you can't get a loan, you cannot start a business, you cannot do anything. So I am trying to take that angle and go where nobody can venture to go, in the sense of like, how can we get the masses, the people that are trying to borrow small amounts, but millions and millions of them? How can we help the people go? Because if you give a person a loan, you help one person, but teach a community how to manage lending, then they can solve all the problems by themselves. And we have the technology, we can do it today. That's what DLN is all about.
I love it. Yeah, it's so important. And it's funny, we were jumping into this, we were talking about the creation of DLN. You were talking about how you met us on Blockchain Booze and all that stuff. And it's pretty great, this community that's come together. We joke and talk about, people in the chat are talking about kiwis right now, because one of our regulars is in New Zealand, and I posted an emoji of a kiwi. Hey, cheers, Adele.
Cheers.
But I know a lot of you, Michael, you're in Singapore, you're drinking coffee. We just posted, somebody in the comments said that they're in Tonga. and they're drinking coffee with us. So, we don't discriminate. Drink whatever you want or don't drink at all. We're here to hang out. But it's exciting, right? We're Blockchain Booze number 83, community no longer as to be, Freddie and I were talking before we got on stage about 805 Startups, a local startup community next to where we live, right? Which, shout out to them. But community doesn't have to mean right here in this geographic location within the, driving distance of my condo.
We're all in the metaverse anyway, so community virtually.
Yes, it doesn't even mean the globe. It can mean the metaverse, which is even better, right? Like it can be anywhere, anytime, and we can invent the anywhere and anytime, right? Like that's the beauty of where we're at. And we met Adel, and he was sort of, talking about these micro loans and these opportunities using crypto technology. And I swear a few months before, right pre-COVID, I was sitting in a bus at an event. We were driving from one place to another, overhearing Joseph, my partner, and a friend of ours, Sid, who's the director of the Draper Venture Network, basically talking about the exact same product Adel wanted to launch. But Adel, with DeFi, had created, or at least mapped out the actual engine that could make it happen, right? And this is all because we're meeting in these different places in the metaverse, in the real world, wherever we end up being, and it's so much fun. And so I will say to the people who are messaging from LinkedIn, from YouTube, Twitter, everywhere else, hop into meet.blockchainbooze.io if you're back there and you have questions for Freddie, Michael, or Adel. Shoot them back there, or for me. We've been talking mostly NFTs the last few months on Blockchain Booze, and I see Adel. What's funny is I posted in the Discord for Boring Stone. This is an NFT campaign some of the Blockchain Booze members put together and some of our friends put together. And I posted, this one is going to be mostly about onboarding people into crypto. And then I shared the picture, and I saw Adel's face on it, and I went, uh-oh. We're going to end up talking ridiculous crap about NFTs for an hour, because Adel has as crazy of ideas as I do, or maybe crazier. But let's stick to the main sort of onboarding for now. I think I would like to hear from Adel first on this, because I think it's a different answer maybe for the developing world versus the non-developed world. But, Adel, for what you're building, talking about micro loans and bringing in unbanked people into crypto, what's maybe the biggest hurdle for bringing in mass adoption or bringing in the masses into our ecosystem?
So there are about like 3 or 4 hurdles in there, and I got a little bit of humility to understand when you go on the ground and really start working with the people. Number one, they don't know what crypto is or blockchain is, and they don't frankly care about that. They care about what makes their life easier. So if you make the system much easier to use, make it friendly, use the current existing technology that they are used for. For example, we're speaking over TCP/IP right now, but nobody understands how it works in there. I know because I studied it, but the people want to just click it on and it works. That's what they want to do. So that's one big hurdle around that. UI, UX is another hurdle of when you are talking to people and say hey, let's start by creating accounts in MetaMask. What's that? And they keep teaching all of the stuff. They want to just maximum get an app on their system and then log in, just like Facebook or any other thing that they can use today and work through that. That's the second thing. And the third thing, especially in developing countries and so forth, is that although people know of English, they might have a language barrier. So localization plays a really big role. In DLN, we've had to translate the interface into Bengali and into Arabic, so that as we are going into every jurisdiction, we are basically translating that. The final thing there is to be cognizant of the jurisdiction compliance and all of those pieces there, because if you truly want to reach not 10,000 or 100,000, but you want to reach 10 million, 100 million, a billion people in there, you will have to make sure that you are in compliant of the current regulations on the ground, so that you don't have any speed bumps, and that takes time, takes work on the ground. You need to go and actually talk with the people, address monetary authorities, talk with them, say like, hey, we're doing this, everything is clear, here is our process, here's what we do in the KYC and all that stuff. And I'll throw a little bit of a bone to Frederic here, because one of the biggest thing is people want to talk to somebody. So even in our app, we've created a chat system so that we can have the people talk. And finally, like to Michael, around okay, how do I connect to my actual banking in the bank? Because not everybody want to remain into crypto. You want to go and buy a sandwich, and you want to pay the vendor in there. Sometimes when you say like, hey, I'll give you some Bitcoin, and it's like, I'll give you something else, you might not like it. So those were kind of like the lessons that I have learned through that. Patience, sustainability, and community is everything. Like push through it.
Are you
each other effort?
Are you hitting any hurdles in these countries that you're targeting with governments or with legal issues in terms of utilizing crypto? Are there legal barriers to crypto adoption in most of these places? And which places are you most targeting? You obviously, if you said Arabic, you're targeting some of the Arabic countries, but
so that's a great question, and I started in the most difficult areas. So it's kind of like give me the most regulated, the most poor areas of the entire globe. So that's where I started with India, and it has a lot of regulations going there. I have not set foot in India myself in there, but through the on the ground MFI. MFI is a microfinance institution. They are the ones existing on the ground. So instead of thinking about let's create a peer-to-peer app right away and have people doing loans to each other, if you do that, governments will come and say like, wait a second, what are you doing? Who's transmitting money to who? We want all of those records. But instead, I basically said, okay, who is on the ground? MFIs. Let's talk with MFIs. Let's embrace what they are doing. Show them a better system. Like, here is how we can facilitate that. Here is how we can generate your money. So the MFIs that I'm talking with is like, I'll give you 3% plus on doing the exact same thing that you are doing today, but just streamlining the back end, how your operations work. And then from there, we enhance what they are doing by showing them you are not alone. Once we verify who you are and verify your users, now the world becomes a truly global village that we can now go. Because in a banking system, if I want to send money to you, to our cousins in Africa, we'll pay $45 each, even if you're sending $100, which is a big sum. But on a blockchain, you can just do that. Like on Casper, it's like a few cents, and that's it. It's done, and it's very quickly.
So you guys are building on Casper?
Yes, because we looked at different networks, and there's a lot of them out there. Ethereum is not usable for micro-lending, small amounts of money. So you need a fast network that is cheap, that is immutable, focused on enterprise institutional application. And that's all Casper is. It's terraforming right now, and great things are being added on him. It has really great environment using Rust in the back end.
Let's plan a blockchain and booze session soon, maybe after the summit next week, where we bring some of the other friends of ours who are building on Casper and learn more about it. I know some of the old LA crew are building on Casper. They're no longer in LA because everyone's traveled around the world. But some of the people that have spent time at our events are there. I'd love to learn more about it. Looks like some of the people in the chat are into it too. So Michael, I would like to get from you, from your perspective, with Adele, we're talking about the developing world. We're talking about people that don't have bank accounts, things like that. I know you're onboarding to get people into financial products. So by definition, it's probably somebody who does have a bank account. So what's probably the biggest hurdle from your side to onboard people through, to the Amber products that are being offered?
I think that's a great question. Actually, first we actually, for us, right? Actually, our user base is as broad as it gets, in the sense that even the sort of unbanked population and a lot of, actually, surprisingly, a lot of well-educated young folks at many developing countries, right? They might not even have a bank account, right? They have a good income, they have good education, but they sort of directly jumped through that traditional banking era and directly into what we call the neobank era or the e-wallets era. So a lot of them are already doing the payments, they're saving their deposits through some sort of e-wallet app. Potentially, some of this, down the line could use primarily an Ember product for that. So, back to your question, right? What are the main challenges in onboarding users globally into the crypto ecosystem? I will say, two things. First and foremost, one is definitely education, as Adele mentioned. A lot of the users, in the end of the day, right? They, unlike, I guess, everyone on this panel or, many of our audiences, us, a lot of the potential users, a lot of the mass market users, right? They're not super familiar with crypto yet, right? They have heard of Bitcoin, of course. They might even have heard of Ethereum and other tokens. But if you ask them to really, tell you about, what blockchain really is, or how does it really work, right? They might not have the perfect understanding. And do they have to have that to benefit from the whole technology and the whole ecosystem? I actually don't think so. I think they need to have, the basic knowledge, the basic understanding to not get scammed and to actually choose the right product, choose the right services. But in the end of the day, not every user has to be a blockchain expert or an engineer. Neither do they have to be some financial expert, right? So, they need to be educated in ways they can understand, in ways they want to listen, in ways that are not overwhelming or intimidating to them. I think, a lot of the folks in the crypto ecosystem, tend to underestimate that, because day in and day out, we are talking crypto, right? So it becomes so natural to us. We would assume it's so easy and, it's a no-brainer to others. That's unfortunately not the case yet, right?
Yeah.
So that's education, in ways users can actually understand, and in ways that are, they feel that this is something for them, rather than, okay,
Yeah.
not for me, this is too intimidating, right? Secondly, you gotta give them an easy enough experience, and enough reasons to overcome. There will always be an initial learning hurdle with any products, crypto or not.
Yeah.
Right? So you need to give them enough reasons to overcome that initial learning curve, and that could be, like Adele said, this could be cheaper for them. This could actually save them a lot of money. The user experience could be a lot better once they get used to it, or it's a lot more convenient, or it could be a bit of everything. What Amber Group does in a way is to make it easier and actually deliver what we call the long-term value to the end user, whether the end user is a billion-dollar institution or a young person just starting his or her life, right? They all want the same thing. They want better products. They want a product that's easier to use, so it's convenient and saves their time. And they want something that they can understand, right? If you combine these three things, actually, you tend to have a very powerful product. And I think whether that's someone already have a bank account and wanna just wire easily from their bank account to ours, right? Which is very easy. They feel very safe. They feel the whole environment is very regulated and compliant, right? Or if it's someone who doesn't even have a bank account yet but has an e-wallet in, say, Latin America, Africa, Southeast Asia, wherever they are, right? They want an easy experience to transfer that money from their e-wallet to our wallet.
Yeah.
So enjoy a better interest, so they can continue to spend it easily, so they can actually invest in a lot more attractive products rather than the limited choices offered in their local markets or what's successful currently for them, right? So this kind of empowerment, I think, is done through technology. Crypto as an asset is appealing. Crypto finance as an underlying technology, I think, is even more appealing and can benefit a even broader consumer base.
Oh, for sure. I think we, in the United States, especially when you say e-wallet, for example, I didn't even know what you were talking about at first. And I was like, oh yeah, all the wallets that people use in other parts of the world, except for here, because here we're like trapped essentially into the current banking system. They built these walled gardens and we're kind of stuck in them, unless you're a crypto nerd. Like the other day, I tested a crypto product and I borrowed money from a crypto product, and the money went to my normal US bank account same day. Like my mind was blown. I did it on my phone, clicked I agree, and literally I checked my bank account a few hours later, it was in it. And then I went to wire the money back to pay back the loan the same day. And it took me a week to get it from my actual bank account to wire to that group, because they wanted me to come into the bank to sign a document. And so I called them and argued with them. And I was like, I don't want to go into the bank. And I was like, it's COVID times. I'm not coming. So do a Zoom meeting with me, verify my identity that way, whatever you want. And I argued with them until finally they made an exception for me like 3 days later and wired the money back to my account at the other product. But it was so funny because it was one of the first times ever where I used a crypto product where, always with crypto products, you almost never have to interact with humans to get it done, and you can do it in a fast way, but the product is usually clunky and shitty, or you have to learn to use a wallet in a situation that we've gotten used to. So it feels normal to us, but that if you were looking over somebody brand new's shoulder, they'd be so confused, right? But like it was a simple product in an app. I was able to wire money to my bank account straight out of it with just clicks and verifying identity on my phone. It was very easy. But then the hurdle for me was actually getting the money back to the crypto world, which it was the first time I ever had that issue. But I also don't try to send money. I'm already all in on crypto, so I haven't tried to send money from a US bank account to the crypto world in a long time. But it's really interesting. Freddie, I think all of these things, right? What Adele is working on is actually sort of onboarding people, getting them comfortable. What Michael's working on and what you're working on the exchange side is all getting people comfortable getting into the crypto world. Yeah. How do you envision then, going from, because I know that you are you would not be satisfied with just using a simple exchange yourself, buying some crypto and holding it, right? Like I know you're super into Hashgraph and all that we've talked about in years past, maybe not anymore. I'm just throwing something out there, but like you play around and you start to get into it. And I think that the easy education, the part that Michael is talking about, is like so spot on, right? We need to get people comfortable and get them in. Once they're in, if they want to dive down the rabbit hole, learn about NFTs, learn about more sophisticated things, they now have a solid foundation and a team around them, right? So I look at you as the team around people to get them to the next level. Where do you envision the next level? And I don't necessarily mean what products H2O would bring, but maybe if H2 Crypto will bring other products. But I'm more thinking like I get into crypto, or my friend from high school gets into crypto that's not as big of a nerd as me. How do we get them into NFTs, or what do you think is next?
You got to listen to the client. The client comes first. So, your long-term value proposition, whatever you're creating, we were talking about channels of communication before, having that readily available for the client. We talked about education. We talked about multilingual. We talked about channels of communication. Those channels of communication have to be open and readily available. And those channels of communication have to be secure channels of communication. So whether that's an AI chatbot or an email, or actually calling in and having the opportunity to speak with a human or AI agent, that needs to be readily available. And you really got to look into the client in general, individually. What demographic are they from? Because older clients, they want to call in. Maybe younger generations, they want to get in and speak on Twitter, or they want to just use a chatbot and just type something in really quickly, or send an email because they've got other things to do during the day. But the client service representatives needs to get back to them immediately. Like service level agreements need to be met, and that person's special. That client is special, and they need to get taken care of immediately. So I wouldn't say we need to use like the most extravagant thing. You know, you can just really go in and use things that are very simple, but just be there and listen to the client. What do they need? And then build your technology around that to be able to improve their experience so that they fall down the rabbit hole and then they get interested in crypto, and everything goes from there.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And I think that that's the bridge we almost have to cross to get like the extreme mass adoption, right? Because when we're talking about financial products, you guys are building them, right? And that's going to grow and build, and it'll be as simple as logging into your E-Trade account and buying a stock, but you'll be able to buy those H bars or Bitcoin or ETH or Tezos or whatever you want to buy, right? But then the rest of the financial products, I think, need a bit of user experience. NFTs need a bit of user experience, and also, somebody did ask in the QA, and I want to just I'll quickly answer it, because it's not anything I think related to what we're exactly talking about. But they asked if we'll develop a thing like NBA Top Shots in the Dapper system. But what I will say is, what they did is really smart, right? They realized that the value to the end consumer are those cards, are the NBA moments, that's the experience. And they knew they didn't need to build it on Ethereum so that the average person who watches the NBA could come buy a pack of cards. Like, if they built it on Ethereum, it would have actually been a huge roadblock, and NBA Top Shots probably wouldn't have been successful. But what I'm seeing is that examples of the best parts of that, right, the ease of use and the user experience, are being adopted by people who are doing things on other chains, who are doing things on Ethereum. Calamint, one of our portfolio companies at Draper Goren Home, has the ability for you to buy Tezos with your credit card on their site, which essentially means you could buy NFTs with a credit card. They've eased the process. They've made it easier. And each of the platforms is beginning to do that more and more. And, it used to be, think about this, it wasn't that long ago. And we think about it as like the ancient days for the people who are in the space. But like in linear, normal, everyday time, just a few years ago, almost every single crypto exchange, you needed to onboard with crypto. Like, there was, when Kraken and Coinbase and groups like that allowed you to start using your credit cards or your bank accounts to onboard. If your bank account allowed you to onboard onto crypto, you'd be able to do it. But previous to that, and even during that, so many people had to get their Bitcoin by meeting a person in real life on like local Bitcoins, or finding some weird workaround, or like, doing something semi-shady, even though they're not doing anything shady. Like the process was shady. And so that's kind of how it is with NFTs at the moment, right? You go on to Coinbase, you'll go on to H2 Crypto soon, or you go to Amber Group, you'll buy your ETH, right? And then you'll send your ETH to a MetaMask wallet, and then that MetaMask wallet interacts with the minting site on, desperateapewives.com or wherever you're minting. I was trying to mint there today, so that's why I was thinking about it. But I also asked, like, it's ridiculous. Like, is this real life? Like, it's pretty funny, but nobody's connecting with their card. And I remember when we had OpenSea on here about a year ago, we were talking to one of the founders, and they asked us, they were like, do you think the price of these NFTs would even be this high if we were actually connecting to our everyday bank account, connecting to our paycheck, connecting to our credit card? Probably not, because I think that most of us couldn't make that leap. But with magical internet money, you can. So maybe there's a benefit to completely separating the systems and having this metaverse life where, one ETH is no big deal, but $3,000 is life-changing. One ETH is actually worth more than $3,000. So it is interesting, to look at it from those different perspectives. But anyway, I think that a lot of folks are building that in. Now, I have this question. Actually, this is actually interesting. Jing is asking a question towards Michael, but I think Adele, this might hit you as well. And Freddie, I know you're focused on the U.S. right now, but that might change. Jing said, I'm not sure if this was discussed already, or we haven't, but I planned on touching it. So thank you, Jing. He said China banned crypto, and he sees that Amber is based in Hong Kong. So how is regulation in Hong Kong? But I know you're also based in Singapore, which is a big crypto hub and a more clear jurisdiction. I'd love to hear what you have to say on jurisdictions and participation globally.
Sure. I mean, for Amber Group, it's pretty easy. I mean, we are global from day one. Actually, right now, you look at our customer base, right? It's really across the globe. We started in Hong Kong. That's still, technically our headquarters. But if you look at the firm, we have people all the way from Asia to Europe to North America, Latin America. So we have and our customers as well, right? So but at the same time, the regional regulations are important because I actually hold the view that for crypto finance as a broader enabling technology to benefit the mass market consumers, it will actually have to be compliant with all the local regulators and local rules. That's just unavoidable. Otherwise, you can't even deliver your products properly to the hands of most consumers, which you sort of miss the whole point. Now, in case like you mentioned, Singapore, where I am, is actually one of the jurisdictions that I would say has a very clear regulatory framework, and that's important. I actually think the most important thing for an entrepreneur is long-term planning, right? Long-term strategic planning, and with sort of the regulatory certainty and the regulatory framework is what you are getting to, right? What rules you need to operate around. And in the case of Singapore, there's a clear licensing scheme now around crypto, and there are more and more sort of openness, and the policymakers are proactively thinking about how to regulate the industry, how to even support the industry, and how to protect the consumers and all of that, which I think fundamentally are important. Elsewhere, some jurisdictions it's clearer, some are less clear, but I think the bottom line is always the same. I think crypto or not, right? You gotta comply with some of the basic legal components, right? You just do your KYC ML properly, right? You don't scam small investors, right? You don't scam any investors, and you protect them from products or investments that are not suitable for them, right? I think the crypto community is sort of underestimated the importance of these simple but essential things, right? In the end of the day, right? I know we argue about data privacy and all of that, right? But at the same time, crypto had a little bit of a bad history in the beginning because of bad actors, right? And nowadays, you sort of wanna to bring it to the daylight, to bring it to mainstream. You sort of have to do your best as crypto entrepreneurs to really separate yourself from all these stuff, right? And also, I think in the day, a lot, like you said, people tend to underestimate, 1 ETH in the end of the day is around $4,000, right? So, if you give people a highly speculative product and they lose, a lot of ETH, they do lose a lot of the money that can actually change their real life, right? So in a way, on one hand, of course, I think, admittedly, right, everyone, I guess, on this panel, or everyone's being crypto long enough, benefited from all the craze, a lot of the speculation flooding in, right? But at the same time, long term, do you want that to be the core theme of crypto? I would say not, right? You want a crypto to be actually usable. You want a crypto to be actually in the hands of everyday consumers, rather than crypto being cornered into this highly speculative assets, which a lot of people make a lot of money from that, but more so, alienating, what the broader user base, right?
Well,
So,
yeah, I think that's the crazy thing about crypto that's so exciting is, the flip of the business model, and everybody knows who's watching and part of the Blockchain Boost community. I'm constantly talking about Lunar Crush, and this is probably the longest, other than mentioning them as a stream, that I brought them up. But this week when they launched their product, or last week when they launched their new app, they flipped the SaaS business model completely over. But the ownership business model that crypto has kind of flipped is crazy, right? Like, to think that I've been a Wells Fargo customer, for example, actually not really anymore, because I'm so fed up with them. But I got an account at Wells Fargo when I was like 15 or 16 years old, when I got my first job, and I had to lie on my age, and I knew somebody who worked at Wells Fargo. So even though I didn't have a driver's license to show the age, he kind of let me create an account. So I have an account there for over 20 years, that means, right? And I don't own a share of Wells Fargo stock, right? But at one point, when Uniswap decided to decentralize their ownership and bring, basically, reward the masses for participation, I received tokens for my usage of their protocol, of their system. And it's very common in crypto. I always joke with people that I'm constantly spending money experimenting. I spend money on gas fees. I cry about it all the time. We all go to fees.wtf and literally say, what the F? Like, it's crazy. But then all of a sudden, that thing that Adele and I were texting about a year ago and goofing around with dropped some tokens for me, and Uniswap dropped some tokens for me. And the more you participate, the more you might own. But what's funny about that is that that's what community banking was supposed to originally be. The earliest banks in history, people would pool together and do what Adele is doing. They'd support the farmers in their communities. They'd support each other, and they'd take care of each other. And essentially, they would own the community bank together. The community would own the bank. And it went completely one direction for so long. Now the pendulum is swinging back. And I think that's part of the beauty of it all, right? Like, we need the people who are building to be good actors and to weed out the bad actors. And I think crypto is really good at that. The smartest people, you can't scam the smartest people in the world for very long without getting completely wrecked. Like, and time after time, the hackers and the people that do that get found out because the crypto community comes together and gets them, right? And hands them on a silver platter to the regulators. But, you want also the regulators to stay out, because certain ideas like ownership are somehow a monopoly of governments and regulators. But crypto is flipping that. And that's the exciting part. And people who are good actors like Amber Group, like H2 Crypto, like DLN, what you're building, Adele, is onboarding the people into that new mindset. And I think young people have that mindset. They care less about ownership of certain things like houses and cars, stuff like that. Digital goods to them are just as real as real goods to maybe the older people among us, like me, right? I go to my comic books at my parents' house. That's cool. I show my kid a comic book. To him, that's cool. But the digital version on an iPad is cooler. He likes NFTs just as much as his Pokemon cards, and probably more. Like, that's a paradigm shift, right? And so digital goods, I'm watching the chat. I have my screen set up so I can watch the chat backstage, the people, and I'm seeing David Rankin, one of our regulars, talking about selling his properties on crypto voxels and how he's got a couple spots still, waterfront, and they're talking about speculating and buying and selling real estate on the metaverse. I truly believe my kids will be more into the ownership of that than if I can somehow level up my personal life and get us like a vacation home. Like, they probably would care more about, but did you buy that land in Decentraland? I'm convinced that will mean more to them 20 years from now than this stuff. And it's mind blowing, right? Freddie, I want to hear you talk a little bit, because we've been going, but like, I think, and I'll jump into the QA. So anybody, actually, let me just throw out there really quickly to everyone. I'll bring that thing up. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong screen. I think, what was the headline on Boring Stone? It said something like, blockchain boozes terrible, host makes no apologies. So here I am, guys. Go to meet.blockchainbooze.io if you want to ask questions, but in about 10 minutes when we're done with hanging with the crew, you'll be able to turn on your camera and hang with us as well. So go into the QA. I'll power through those in a second. But, Freddie, I bring up, we're pushing and pulling on all this stuff. And I'd like to get, your perspective, because pre-H2 crypto, you were helping onboard, sometimes, by default, if it's somebody that could, afford to pay somebody to be their wingman and do something, you were helping people buy, big buys or set up their hardware wallets, do some things like that, and really help onboard them. In that sort of real world, helping people on, it's been a long time since I, looked over somebody's shoulder and said, okay, here's how to use MetaMask. But, from that perspective, I would like to get your opinion on, in these last, 3-4 years that I've known you, probably 4 years plus that I've known you, helping people onboard into crypto, have the products become significantly more usable? Are we still, utilizing, like, why is MetaMask still the best browser, right? Like, best
because we don't have anything else, and it's still difficult to use a ledger and a Trezor wallet, and walking somebody through the whole process of updates and transfers 3,000 miles away when I'm remoted in on somebody's computer. It is difficult sometimes, but people appreciate it. When people are scared, they want somebody to reach out to. And I make a comparison. It's kind of like having children and then teaching them how to swim for the first time. Like, you want to push them away and let them do their own thing. But when they need somebody to grab back onto, if they're in the water, you have to be there. You have to be like that life preserver, so to speak. And that's how you get people migrated into crypto.
Yeah. Well, you know what? There's a question from Daniel that's great, and you would be the perfect person to answer it too. Is what do you think is the minimum viable onboarding process to get non-crypto users, interacting with crypto daily? Like, what is the one main obstacle that we face?
I would say
there's too many.
No, I would say unique identifiers. Just making sure that it is that person who says that they are that person, and making sure that they're accessing their account. That's
I think you're looking at it from the perspective of maybe protecting the exchange or using it from the exchange. And I can tell what mindset you're in right now. But always. I think, Michael did say education, and I think that's a big part of what you've always done. You always host the local meetups. You're always teaching people and onboarding them and just getting them comfortable with the idea, right?
Yeah, you've got to gradually get them into, again, falling down that rabbit hole and getting into a certain type of crypto or a certain type of community. You've got to gauge their understanding, because it's a steep learning curve, and you got to make it easier for them and get them into once they're into purchasing something, or whether it's a certain NFT or it's a certain type of cryptocurrency, then they start seeing the value in it, because they start getting into the ecosystem and talking to other people that are into it. And then they get into another group, so they might be into Ethereum one day, and then the next day they're into Tezos, and then they're into Hedera and Internet Computer or something. But it's just gradually getting them into it and getting them acquainted with this new technology and how it works, so to speak.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna kill a couple of these questions back here really easily. One person, of course, anonymously asked, how much have you spent on gas? My only public wallet is Alon.eth. And you can look at that yourself. Go to fees.wtf and put in the address for Alon.eth, and you can cry with me. I don't even want to look. I don't look anymore. It's because I think about all the times. Think about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, Adele, when we were like testing NFTs, testing how to do an airdrop for NFTs, yep, creating NFT contracts, and spending like an ETH and going, shit, I just spent $300, but one ETH today is like $4,000. So you get, and it shows you how much ETH you spent on gas and today's value. which is the scary part. I don't even want to know. I think that the education will eventually pay for itself better than, it'll have a higher return than most universities. Sorry, Adele.
No, I'm 100% with you. I think that.
Okay. Maybe it might be one of the last questions. I want to, Jing had a few questions, related to, Coop, I see your question. That's going to be way longer on creating a whole NFT platform. We should just do a meeting separately or do a hangout session specifically about how to launch an NFT platform. I've done it on Tezos with a thing called Open Minter, but it takes some time and it's tough, not easy. But we can do a whole session on that if we want to. But Jing is asking again about sort of China influencing, if not controlling, Hong Kong, and wants to know, I guess, I'll paraphrase a little bit, but he wants to know the future, Michael, of how is, the political future of Asia in relation to crypto. I think, you kind of answered that before, but maybe instead of the now, what do you think will happen? Do you think China rolls back their ban? Do you think again? What do you think?
I don't like to speculate on policies because I think I used to be
speculating on crypto is much more predictable than politicians.
Actually, I think it's interesting because I used to be a macro trader and a macro hedge fund manager, right? And one thing I learned in my previous career was the prediction is already hard, right? Predicting timing is the hardest, right? But actually, surprisingly, to get the mega trend right is a lot easier than both. To get the mega trend right, you just need to have some firm belief in what you think fundamentally is right and use your common sense. And likely than not, you tend to do better than this, rather than try to timing what could happen or when that happens, right? So I think the mega trend I believe in is everything's moving digitally, right? I mean especially post COVID, most people live their life on the internet rather than off it, right? And therefore if we use the fancy word metaverse again, right? Something cliche about it. You do need a whole ecosystem around it, right? And you need, you need money in it, you need transactions in it, you need economics in it, you need financial services in it, right? All of that needs to be done in digital native formats, right? So again, I see cryptocurrency as an asset, right? Crypto finance is the underlying technology is at the moment, by far the best option for that. Right. I'm not saying, tomorrow there won't be another completely unimagined technology that can do a much better job for that. It could be, who knows, right? But as of right now, right, based on current knowledge, right, crypto finance as the underlying technology to enable the digital economy, to enable all the services we need in that kind of digital lifestyle is probably the best choice. And therefore, I think that's a mega trend that we're going to bet on. And in between, when and where and how that happens in each region, in each country, for each person, it's gonna be different and sort of unpredictable. But that's why again, you gotta. I think you gotta do two things, right? As an individual, as a company, as an organization, whatsoever. One is stick to the megatrend that you really believe in, and secondly, play smarter, right? Like, if you are a company, right, operate in regions first or service customers where you can service first, right? That's a big enough global market with 7 billion people, right? I'm sure you can find your user base somewhere. If you are an individual, right, start with things you're most comfortable with, right? It could be simple things as, get your dollar from your fiat bank account, like you said, from your Wells Fargo account you had since childhood into a crypto account, a stablecoin. Suddenly, you have quite a few % of yield pickup.
So suddenly you have yield.
Exactly. Suddenly you have the yield at all, right? So start with simple things. Then you will get comfortable with Bitcoin. some might be immediately more interested in NFT. Actually, NFT is really interesting. We've had customers, right? Users, customers that didn't really buy into Bitcoins even, or the whole crypto asset thesis, right? They actually parked the dollars with us as stable coins for yield pickup, right? But when NFT came out and it became popular, it actually resonated with them more. They immediately skipped through, the Bitcoin Ethereum stage and went directly into NFT. Some were even frustrated, saying, "Why do I even need to buy Ethereum before I can buy NFT? I just want an NFT. I don't even want Ethereum." So therefore, we help them, right? We directly sort of, on-ramp them from fiat even directly into NFTs, right? It's okay. Different people gonna start with different things, and everyone gonna find what's suitable within this mega trend for themselves, right? So now back to your question, right? What's gonna happen in Asia broadly, or globally, right? Which country is gonna adopt first? Which country is gonna adopt last? Right? It's very hard to speculate.
Yeah.
But in the end of the day, right? It's gonna happen, or at least I firmly believe it's gonna happen. So stick to the mega trend.
100%. I mean, we've gone through the technology cycles now, and each technology cycle happens faster. I've talked about this in the past, but my first job outside of being like a teller at a bank and low man on the totem pole there was at MySpace, right? And back then, social media was brand new, and nobody could have ever dreamt of watching a full-length movie over the internet. And I was around before that for eBay launching and buying things on there pre-PayPal and having to go to the post office to get a cashier's check to buy something over the internet to send in the mail because people didn't trust sending checks in the mail, or maybe I was just getting scammed. It's all of these things happen, and the cycles happen faster and faster. Nobody thinks of a startup or a company as an internet company anymore. Every company is an internet company now, right? And what we're today discussing, digital currencies or cryptocurrencies or digital assets. People aren't going to think of digital assets as digital assets. If you would have asked me when I raised money for my first company about 10 years ago, if I used digital securities, I would have said yes. I sent everybody their docs to e-sign, and they use a thing called Sign Now, and they e-signed it. Some people signed it and scanned it and sent it to me, but I e-signed every document. Is that not a digital security? Like, what are you talking about, right? But the definition changes. Now you think of a digital security as one that is purely digital and whose rights are managed digitally, and where the waterfall of capital might be distributed digitally, and all these things, right?
I think you're spot on, Alon. I actually think the example you gave, right? We're going through that right now, right? People call, I guess, Amber or our companies on this panel, crypto company, right? I think in maximum 5 years time, right? That term will gradually fade out, right? Like you said, no one calls it a internet company, right? I mean, there's still like the internet industry and the internet giants, but like every company by default is an internet company, right? And you look at the current space, right? Especially you look at the traditional fintech. I know that word sounds funny, right? But like you look at the last generation of fintechs, right? All the Robinhood, Revolut, Cash Apps alike, they're becoming crypto company.
Yeah.
And I think that trend is going to continue, and eventually, it will be harder to be, say, a finance company or fintech company without being a crypto company than
I mean, it was, I spoke to, I don't remember if they said this publicly, so I won't say the exact bank, but I spoke to one of the world's largest banks about Bitcoin and about a fund and about their investment banking group. And they straight up said, we have a problem with our wealthiest clients because every dollar that they put into Bitcoin is a dollar that leaves our bank because of compliance reasons, because of whatever reasons they don't have Bitcoin custody. So they know this, right? And so it's the beginning of the end. Guys, we've got to wrap it up, but I want to give everyone a chance to give a plug and point people into the direction of where you're going. In the meantime, and just really quickly, on my last time, I'm going to say meet.blockchainbooze.io. Come there if you want to turn on your camera and talk to me and some of the crew in a couple minutes. And also, LA Blockchain Summit is next week. Next week's episode will be sort of live in the LA Blockchain Summit system. So it's going to be the only one that we're not doing in our normal system. And I'll share the update with everyone. I'll send some emails and things like that. But it's going to be fun. I think Punk Ape Strong might host that one, not me. He's going to give me a break. But we'll see. We'll see. We're working on some surprises. And all of you regulars, I hope you come. I'm gonna come up with some surprises and prizes and things for the top community members because I feel like this is a big milestone. It'll be episode 84, a little under 2 years, but I don't care. I'm gonna call it the 2-year celebration or something. It's gonna be fun. So Adele, why don't you tell us where to go for DLN before we sign off?
DLN.org and at DLN DAO, and I'm on LinkedIn, so just hit me up and come help with the community.
Love it. Freddie, do you have any updates on H2 Crypto launch? I know
yes, we're launching soon, and the website will be up very soon.
Okay,
so
cool.
You can go to h2crypto.io and sign up for our mailing list right now. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. And thank you.
Love it. And Michael, where's the best landing page for Amber Group, and where do we follow you on social?
It's fairly easy. Just type ambergroup.io at your browser. You get to our homepage. You can find our products, download them, start using them. Find me on Twitter. Find us on Twitter, I guess, with the handle ambergroup.io, or find me at Michael Wu Amber. Happy to chat.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much. Here, look, Matt Bozio, who's our director of events, is sitting and watching us right now on YouTube. Awesome. He's working his ass off right now preparing for LA Blockchain Summit. So thanks, Matt. Another one we brought into crypto from the outside world. I love it. Although he was getting into it, and that's how we discovered him. But amazing. Thank you guys so much. I'm going to call on all of you guys to be my wingmen on future episodes and come join the show. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys soon. I'll see you. All 3 of you will be at LA Blockchain Summit.
Sure.
I'm so excited for that, and I hope everyone else joins us there. It's free, and there's even a few different ways to earn some crypto by participating. So we pay people every year to come learn about crypto. So no excuses. Come. We'll hopefully give you your first crypto if you don't have any already. Thank you, everyone. Go to meet.blockchainbooze.io.